As always, we'll check YouTube because sometimes YouTube just does stupid
whatever
stuff.
it wants.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we gotta sit here and act like idiots and go, "Hey, YouTube, did you finish the thing that we told you?" There we go. There we go. Oh God, we have an ad on our YouTube page now. That's not good. Baby bus, whatever the hell this is. All right, so what's up, everybody? Spectator Mode Podcast here, and of course, it's episode 57. I'm Keith Mitchell. There's Carl May Smart to the right of me, Rod below, and of course, Connor to the bottom right. What's up, everybody? Real quick, we're going to be talking about a couple things I'm pretty sure you want to talk about. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Bethesda being done with Doom Eternal, games we played this week during the pandemic, and lots more. So as always, well, it's that last 2 or 3 podcasts, we'll roll our intro and then we'll get to the show. So here we go. Hey, that was quick. I still love that tune. Before we go, everybody, just real quick, I just want to say I hope everybody's doing good because of the pandemic. You know what we're talking about. I won't mention the name because YouTube will probably strike us, even though we didn't type it out because YouTube has been. Actually, you know what? They can't because they have enough people now. YouTube can't.
They still can. Let's not do it.
We don't have enough people to take care of this. So yeah,
they rely on the robots, Keith.
Yeah.
They rely on the robots. Okay.
The overlord. So yeah, it's probably not do that. So guys, we got a full bunch of things to talk about today, but first and foremost, every podcast, of course, we talk about the games that we played. So, you know what? I'm going to go first this time because I actually have not been playing a lot of games outside of the Resident Evil 3 demo, which we will talk about in depth very shortly. I actually was playing your Doom 2016 because I did not play Doom Eternal yet. We'll talk about that later, and more Destiny 2. Been trying to catch up to one of our teammates, Austin, who's been playing the game nonstop, and he's so far ahead of all of us, it's ridiculous. So I've been playing that, and what was the other game I was playing? No, I don't remember because it wasn't that memorable. It was actually a pretty bad game.
Dang.
So yeah, that's all I've been playing. So Rob, go ahead, man.
All right. I mean, yeah, my list is going to be pretty short too, but it's a game that I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I've been playing Persona 5 Royale for our
that's right,
or Royal for our review for the Outerhaven, and so I pretty much just stuck strictly to that, just because, well, I don't know, the other games that I've wanted to play like Destiny just haven't grabbed me lately, so I didn't play much of that game. So I've just been doing a lot of that, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it, which is really cool. So
wait, so let's talk about real quick. What don't you like about Destiny? We don't have to go in depth.
We won't go in depth, but basically the PvE stuff in the power grind, like,
yeah.
Not only is the power grind a bit more grindy this time around, but even then, like, it focuses inherently on bounties and stuff, and I just don't want to dedicate more time to something that just ends up me being like avoiding the things I love to do in Destiny already, because a lot of the times it will just force me to like do stuff in some kind of, sense of variety. But a lot of the times it's just like, here, take the bounties that you will do because you're going to be doing something fun, and find yourself in a very minimal XP increase so that you gain a few levels and get some better gear, but it's going to take much longer this time because gameplay variety. That's pretty much where I'm at. So
yeah, I'm with you with that one. It is very grindy, but you missed out on the last season. The what was it last season? I don't remember what it's called, but it had the sundials, and that was super grindy. So if you didn't like this season, you definitely wouldn't have liked last season either.
Yeah, I did try the sundial. Don't get me wrong, but I did it a few times, and I was like, there's other ways, including ways that I enjoy playing the game more, for me to get XP from, so I did those instead. Now it actually feels like it's trying to force me to do the things I don't want to do, which is kind of just like, all right, well, I just won't do it then, So I've had no pressure to go to it, and especially with the game I have been playing, it's taking up a lot of my time, so any time that I'd be willing to dedicate to Destiny last season, I just don't feel like doing this season, so...
To be honest, that's a fair stance. I completely dropped out last season because I could not be asked.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just like, even if the grind was worse, like it would be nice to have like just more than one public event, and like one new lost sector, because it's like the Sundial is like a completely new like Vex offensive style horde activity that you go in and do with a couple people, you matchmake to, and you go, and it's a completely new experience. This time it's just kind of like it's a public event, so you have to kind of expect people to be there. If they're not, then it's going to be harder for you to complete. If you do a lost sector, you have to be at top level, or one of the legendary lost sectors, you have to be at top level, or you're just going to suffer the whole time.
Don't forget, you have to be matchmade with somebody. You can't. It's no auto. You have to have a team.
That too, yeah. So it's just like,
yep.
I always found situations like that always a bit aggravating. Destiny, like raids, I can understand why there's no matchmaking system in place, because you do have to communicate. Otherwise, it just categorically won't work. But something as simple as a nightmare, a nightfall, heroic nightfall or some shit like that, where it's something any idiot can jump in and do, especially if you don't know the other person. Why restrict it? You're just making it harder.
I mean, I get where they're coming from with that. I don't want to delay this any longer. I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, the entry point should be a lot easier. I mean, I don't care for it. It's very frustrating. Which leaves a lot of people like you and me and Rob left out because we don't have somebody who wants to jump in and do it with us. So that's kind of frustrating.
I mean, later on, if they add something new to the season that I enjoy or that I want to jump into, then I'll probably get addicted and I'll hop back right in with you guys. But for now, I'm not feeling it.
The moment they add another raid, I am back on there like flies on shit. I love raids.
Yeah,
you just have to tag me along, bring me along, because I've yet to do a raid yet.
Well, if it comes in next season or whatever the season after, then I'll jump in. I've never done a raid before. I think it'd be great.
Honestly, raids are the best experience in Destiny 2. I feel the only reason why I could do them, because I never managed to do them in Destiny, was because I managed to join like a clan and hop in with them, because finding randoms is a pain. It's a pain. But like Scourge of the Past, Leviathan, those experiences are, for me personally, the definitive experience in Destiny. And for the longest time, I'd ignore some of the new stuff that came out. I'd just hop straight into the raids. They are the best part of that game, which is why I mentioned how Bungie's not really doing the best they can to allow people access to those things. Like matchmaking inside the game is a pain, and in order to find people, you have to go to external websites like LFG groups and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys have ever used the Destiny LFG app, but man, some of the requests they've got on there is ridiculous. Like the raid that came out with the last big drop, I can't remember what it's called, the big DLC before the seasons this time round, the one after Forsaken, not the Dark Below, that's Destiny 1, but the one where you go back to the moon, I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, Shadowkeep?
That's a Shadowkeep. The raid that came out during the season of Undying, I've forgotten what it's called as well, but it was so horrible to do, because whenever you tried to find a group, even though the raid was like 2 days old, people were like, must have 50 plus clears, that
takes me back to the days of WoW. You must have already done this instance already to raid. I'm like, what? I never raided. How can I get into this raid? Oh, I don't miss those days.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. Like, if you haven't done it, people are unlikely to invite you to do it. And to top it off, in order to do that raid, you needed Izanagi's Burden, which, when Shadowkeep dropped, you couldn't get anymore because the quest was broken. So,
they nerfed the hell out of that weapon, too, by the way, so I don't care.
Sad time.
Could always get a guild.
Say again?
You could always have a guild.
No, I tried that. It didn't work. I tried those. Thanks. Come again. All right. Who wants to go next?
But I didn't get to talk.
Oh, finish it. Right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I wanted to talk about the one game I did play. Hopefully, so not end on a negative note. I'm playing Persona 5 Royal for our review for the Outerhaven, which should be coming out week of the release. Honestly, I didn't make the embargo only because the game is huge. The game is huge, and I'm not going to have
an announcement.
An announcement of an announcement, yes. Yeah, that's correct. But, honestly, even if I were to have not a day job and just marathon the game, I feel like I still wouldn't have had enough time to come out with a proper review.
No,
so,
the game is long.
Yeah, it's a long game. But I have been enjoying my time with it, especially as somebody who has never played a Persona game before. I hopped into this blind. I'd never played the first game, didn't really know much about it, and it's been fantastic so far. It's just been kind of rekindling the JRPG in me that I very rarely see all the time. Because, like, I'm a very just, like, lean JRPG fan. I've only played, like, Final Fantasy, only 1 or 2 Dragon Quest games, and that's pretty much it. So, like, hopping into Persona for the first time with 5, it's been really cool, and I've had a great time with it. I love jumping back to something that has, like, turn-based battles, something I missed but didn't miss, but, like, coming back to it is, like, super cool, and just, like, the game is just, like, super fun in terms of how, like, the turn-based battles work. Like, if you set it up so that you are dictating the actions for every person, because, like, it has, like, an auto battle system for your teammates, which works, but it's, like, you know, you're not doing anything. If you make it so that you're making the decisions, like, you can optimize each battle and win a boss battle way easier. And it feels like you're actually, you know, working to get the W rather than just kind of like your teammates will do this thing and then you'll be like the trump card, quote unquote. Yeah, I mean, I've been having a great time playing it. I love the fact that this game is just, like, super stylish at every corner. Like, the graphical quality and, like, just the way everything looks is just insane, and it's super cool, and I've been having a great time with it. And yeah, that's just been, like, my primary focus has been playing this game, and not even just because I want to get a review out, but, like, I've been having a good time with it, so it's cool.
Well, Rob, welcome back to JRPGs.
Yeah.
And you reminded me of the other game I was playing, and it wasn't a bad game. I just could not remember it. It's the demo for Trials of Mana. I've never played that back on the Super Nintendo, and this is amazing. I'm really enjoying the hell out of that game. So, and that comes out April 20th after Final Fantasy comes out. So Square Enix has put its hands in my pockets twice. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
Nice.
It's like the one company you don't want to give money to, but it's like, oh, but I want it.
I mean, you know what? I don't have a problem giving them money because I only buy certain games from them. Example, the last time I gave them money was for Tomb Raider, and before that it was Nier Automata, which I loved.
Isn't Mana a remake as well?
It is. It is a remake built from the ground up, completely rebuilt.
I think that's funny that it's just 2 Square Enix remakes that are taking your money at the same time. It's kind of weird.
And talk about, and then it's the year or the last couple of years of remakes. There's Resident Evil 3 remake, you know, and Final Fantasy remake, and
nostalgia is a very powerful tool,
especially when they do more than just remake it. It's more of a re-imaging. But yeah, Connor, go for it. You're next.
All right, so there's 2 games I've been playing over the past month. The one that's taken up all my time this month was The Witcher 3. I found it on my PS4. I never played the DLC, even though I paid for them. I just never had the time to play them because you're probably aware The Witcher 3 is a big-ass game.
Oh, yeah.
It takes a long time to play, and I played through the main gaming game, so I was like, okay, if I'm going to play the DLC, I might as well know what I'm doing. And then eventually I came around to the DLC, and I honestly hate myself for the fact that I've never played them before. They are phenomenal bits of add-on content. Like, I can now fully understand why people were praising CD Projekt Red to the high heavens, because I mean, Hearts of Stone couldn't care too much for. It's a little bit of an add-on. It's got a good story to it, but didn't really expand on it. But Blood and Wine, oh man, mwah, masterpiece of the making.
Is that the chef's kiss right there? You loved it that much?
Yeah, it was an entirely different way to experience the game. Like, they added a new level up system with the musicians. They added an entirely new map. They new characters. The way the world plays was a bit different as well. I was honestly just thrown back by how brilliant it was, and it's only reaffirmed my excitement for Cyberpunk coming out soon. I'm so looking forward to that.
I could not finish The Witcher. I simply could not finish it. It was too damn big, and it came out at the wrong time when I had too much stuff going on in my life.
Yeah, 2016 was a bit of a crowded time. Like, I remember I just came off the back of Dragon Age Inquisition before I played The Witcher 3, and going from one massive RPG to another massive RPG, it just takes the time out of your soul. It took me a month to finish it the first time round. Less time this time because I kind of knew what I was doing and I was a bit more efficient with it. But man, it's an experience. But the game that I've been playing for the past 24 hours, and I mean the entire past 24 hours, I haven't stopped, was Doom Eternal. And oh my god, that was an experience.
Did you beat it?
Yeah, I beat it. I've done all the single player achievements so far as well. The only ones I haven't done are the multiplayer ones. And I've never gotten that invested in a game for the longest time. Like, I waited until 12 a.m. For it to
So you stayed up. You stayed up.
I stayed up. I waited for it to unlock, and I did not go to sleep until I finished the game, played a couple of the multiplayer rounds. My other half came home from work, and she was just like, are you okay? You look a bit tired. I was like, I am Doom. But,
what's up, Roby? Sorry about that. Roby,
just brilliant.
Steven is in the chat saying hello to everybody.
Hi there.
Yo.
But yeah, it's just brilliant. Like, if you haven't played it yet, I definitely recommend you play it, Keith. Because
look, wait. wait. I'm going to play it. See this? I'm going to play it with this on.
Okay, now I'm jealous,
You're
and I
gonna
want
have
that.
trouble seeing the screen.
No, watch.
Not first. There's enough gunshots and explosions going on.
Can you wear that for the rest of the podcast? Can we just have that?
You can't hear anything. It literally blocks all the sound.
That is awesome, though. I want that.
It is loud. It's like, hello, I can't hear anything. I can't put headphones on. If I could put headphones on or put AirPods in my ear, I would wear it, but I can't.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd wear it for the rest of the podcast, but I guess
I couldn't hear. And it's hard to breathe.
So all you hear is just like...
It's hard to breathe. There's like no holes in this thing.
Well, then it's about time you sit down and get some modification tools out. Create some air holes, build in some fingers in the inside and the microphone, man.
I am scared to touch it because the front of this thing, you would think that they would put air holes in here because there's a normal go, but no, it comes off. It's a battery compartment.
Oh,
so you can't do that right there. Maybe on the sides,
to put the batteries.
Right? Maybe on the sides, but
yeah. You should retrofit it as a VR headset.
Yes.
I do not have the expertise for that. I am dumb.
Doom Eternal VR with the helmet. There you go.
That is my new project now that you mentioned it, because I've been looking for a new way to spice up the VR life. I might get like that or a Master Chief helmet, see if I can retrofit a VR out of that.
Now, I've only had this because I put the second they announced this, I put the money down for the pre-order, and I knew these things were going to go quick, and they did go quick.
So expect Keith to have this on eBay by the end of the show for 3 times the price.
Nope, I'm keeping this. I know. I don't do that.
Stuff like that is absolutely scum, though, where you see like a limited edition something or other for a game, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy 50 of those and sell them for triple the price." And if you buy that, you are a downright idiot.
Yeah. But what else you been playing? Is that it?
Just those 2 games.
I do fully intend to play Doom Eternal. If I might stream it tonight. If I'm too tired, I won't. But tomorrow, definitely. And the crazy Australian that's in the what store are you in?
I'm currently in I believe it's a Woolworths. This Woolworths supermarket. This would be the toilet paper aisle right here behind me.
Wait! You said Woolworth. Do they still exist?
I was going to
say
here
in Australia. They do.
Wow.
Bit of a side note about Woolworths, actually. When they closed down in the UK, the store in Evesham, where I used to live, it's a small town, was one of the last stores remaining. Someone bought the last pick and mix from that place and sold on eBay for like £3,000. Someone bought it because people are idiots, but I still can't believe it actually exists.
Yeah, well, hey, look, it even has toilet paper in stock. One last roll.
Do you have a Radio Shack there as well?
No, we don't have Radio Shacks. No,
okay.
We've never had Radio Shack. We have like J-Car Audio, which is the same type of deal. But anyway, games I've been playing this week, pretty short lists. Much like Keith, I've been playing the Resident Evil 3 demo. I went back and played Resident Evil 2 just sort of to see how quickly I could speedrun it with everything fresh in my head. I was able to get that down to 3 hours and 15 minutes from start to finish. I've yet to go Fourth Survivor, so once I get knowledge on that, Keith, I'm coming for your record.
Nope. Just go ahead. I need some competition.
I'm coming for it, man. I'm going to take that record off you. I'm going to find a way to get lower. And I played the Final Fantasy Remake demo as well, sort of see what the new control scheme for that was like, and I was quite surprised actually.
How many times did you play it?
Only once so far.
Okay.
That's so far.
Yeah.
Just getting used to the new system and everything is a little bit interesting. Like sitting there hammering the one button for the attacks and then having to go, X command menu and then work out what ability or spell you want to cast and all that type of stuff. Haven't got to see any summons yet. I don't think there are summons in the demo.
No, there's no summons in the demo as far as I'm aware.
No summons in the demo. Okay.
There's like I don't know if you managed to do one of the final abilities. I can't remember what they're called, but like the Omni Slash and stuff like that, they're in there.
The limit breaks.
Limit breaks, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used Braver quite a bit because I found I could take anywhere up to 3/4 of a health bar away from most enemies, so it's just the quickest one to hit, mash X. So yeah, that's pretty much the main thing I've been playing today. Like I do have Animal Crossing, as much as you can see it with my green screen effects on. That's probably going to be the thing that I'm going to be playing after today's show.
Wow, your green screen destroyed that box.
I know. Like, look at that. Look at how bad that is, man. Like that's just
Animal Crossing, new nightmares.
Animal Crossing.
You can actually see through it. That is still awesome. You can see
Animal
right
Crossing
through it.
missing number.
Animal Crossing full DLC coming soon. I knew they were piecemealing the games. Geez, piecemealing the covers.
I mean, I did pick that up. I did pick up Animal Crossing just because my son and my daughter like I want to play it.
Yeah.
And it's been sitting in the front room and they have not touched it. So I guess they didn't want it.
For me, that one was a peer pressure like situation.
No, it wasn't. Don't lie. You put a poll on Twitter asking people, and they were like,
I did.
And I was like, no, pick up Doom.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to speak to my other half for 2 days because of it.
everyone else has said fucking Animal Crossing.
And it's like, why?
I don't know. It's not like there isn't a way to get Doom otherwise, but anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pretty much just played the 2 demos, decided to speedrun Resident Evil, and now I've got Animal Crossing to play. So I'm pretty good for this week. I still have other stuff that I am still playing, making my way through the Yakuza 3, 4, and 5, because I have to do those as reviews for the Outerhaven. And it's sort of a bit weird going back and...
You make it feel like we're forcing you to do it now.
He put the gun to my head last week and really forced me to do it.
You will do this now.
That's what the green screen's for, is hiding the gun behind his head.
Yeah.
But
always there.
But it's just one of those things of like I'm playing it and I'm having trouble getting through it because it's like I played these on the PS3 and outside of like small changes here and there to the script, there is no difference gameplay wise to this game whatsoever. It's just one of those, hey, we've upped the graphics, and they've done a great job upping the graphics. But other than that, there's like nothing really substantial there. So I'm having trouble creating a decent review for this one. So,
in all fairness, I kind of feel you there because I recently picked up Yakuza 0, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, and the subsequent re-releases and Yakuza 6 because I played my other half played Yakuza 1. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Picked up myself. I've gone about halfway through Kiwami 2 and I just kind of hit a brick wall. I was like, I've done this 3 times straight now because the games don't really change that much between each edition.
And this is why, not to cut into this is why I'm so happy that Yakuza 7 has changed the way the game plays. And everybody's like, I don't want it to change. But yet you just explained the same thing I said before. Every game does the same damn thing.
Yeah, like the only thing I could say about each game is Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami 1, they got their own combat system. Yakuza Kiwami 2 has a different combat system. I've never played the original ones. I believe it's based off the combat system in Yakuza 6 because it uses the same engine. I could be wrong about that. But in all fairness, Yakuza 2 is a step down from the rest of the games in the series. Like the story is non-interesting. The gameplay, if this is the gameplay of Yakuza 6, I don't think I'll be able to play Yakuza 6 because it's just so floaty and so... Well, easy to get stun locked. I don't know if there's like a term for that, but besides bullshit, but it's one of those where you'll get into a fight and there'll be some enemies where you have to use a very specific move to take them down, but some moves require heat actions, and heat actions you have to build up by hitting people, but you can't hit the people because you get hit by them. It's like, ugh. But I do enjoy the series. I just don't think it's one of those series you could play back to back.
It really is, and that's why I'm ended up taking my time with this. It's like I started playing 3 just to sort of get a feel for it, and then I jumped into 4, and I'm like, no, I can't do this like all in one hit. I need time on this one. I've got enough there for a review, but yeah, just to simply play through all the games myself from end to end, I can't do it on a straight run. And this puts forward like the better idea, at least from what I've seen. The difference between somebody doing a HD remaster and actually putting in the effort in a remake. Like we are now with like Resident Evil 2, now 3, and Final Fantasy coming up, where they actually go into the game and put the time and effort to change things up and make it new. Those are the games I want more of. I'm now getting to the point where I'm reaching the end on like, oh yay, pretty graphics for the same game I played like 2 generations ago.
That's how we roll. Come on, don't say that.
In all fairness, I cannot remember the last time I looked at the game and thought to myself, "Oh, that's pretty," and then that's all I cared about.
That's pretty much it. And I'll be honest, the reason why I haven't picked up, like I was having this big conundrum about getting Doom Eternal. I saw the gameplay and everything. I'm like, that's just Doom 2016 all over again.
See, I thought the same thing, but I actually almost finished my Doom Eternal review, and it will most likely be up later on today. But they have adjusted the gameplay in a lot of ways. It still has the same fundamentals, but I don't know if this is spoiler territory, but I don't believe it is. For example, in Doom 2016, once you picked up the super shotgun, you had no reason to use anything else. That was the end-all weapon.
Yeah.
And grenades were absolute crap. Like, you threw them, they did like a little pfft, they didn't really do anything. Whereas in Eternal, you've got a grenade launcher on your shoulder which fires frag grenades and frost grenades, which allows you to control the flow of battle a little bit. You've got one guy who's really tough, but you've got a bunch of little guys who you need to get rid of first. You freeze them for a few seconds, you deal with the little guys, and then you move on to the big guy. And additionally, weapons have roles now. Like, for example, a lot of the more useless weapons in Doom 2016, like the plasma rifle, is now useful for taking down enemies with shields. If an enemy has a shield, you shoot them with a plasma rifle, cause an explosion. If the enemy is at a distance, use the super shotgun. If you come across a revenant, you can use the grenade launcher functionality on another shotgun, or the precision mode in the assault rifle to hit the weak points, stop them from fighting as effectively. It's a massive improvement on Doom 2016 because it adds so many layers to the combat that it makes it feel, I'm not going to say fresh because it's not quite at that point, but it's a more invigorating and more easy flowing experience that's a lot more fun than 2016. I mean, I thought 2016 was the height of how well this game could get.
Same.
Blasphemy.
24 Hours of Doom
2 or nothing.
It just made me think. I've never played it, so I can't comment. But yeah, after 24 hours, I thought it was absolutely brilliant how they've changed it in what seems like little ways on paper, but when you're playing it, it's so much better than what I could have expected.
Yeah. No, I do want to get it at some point, but I'm one of these people who's really I'm waiting for it to hit the sales bin, to be honest.
It just came out. It won't. And it's a game from Bethesda.
Doom 2016 ended up in the bargain bin a lot quicker than most games.
I don't think this one will be. I really don't.
First, Doom Eternal's already bypassed the bargain bin. It's free if you want it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But I want Doom. I want that port of Doom 64. God damn it!
Oh yeah, I have not played that yet.
Oh yeah, no, right. I need to touch that.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people forgot. It's like, hey, you get Doom 64 on the PC to play with mouse and keyboard, like how you're supposed to play with first-person shooters.
I was going to ask you, Connor, did you play Doom Eternal with the control pad or just keyboard and mouse?
Controller, and I will definitely say you'll probably have a lot better time if you're playing with mouse and keyboard. Movement-wise, it's probably better on a controller, but aiming and shooting with a controller in such a fast-paced and high-precision environment took a lot of getting used to. I did die quite a bit in the early levels because Doom Eternal is faster than Doom 2016, which boggles my mind. Because I never played the originals, I never really experienced how fast-paced these games were. And Doom 2016 was a good introduction to it. It was still slow enough that it could work. Plus, if you're just using the super shotgun, all you have to do is make sure that they're in front of you. But Doom 2016 does, Doom Eternal, sorry, does put a emphasis on precision. So it did take a while to get used to it. And now I can own anybody in the multiplayer mode on the PS4. Like, I have not lost a single game because of that amount of practice I got. But I will not forget the first 2 missions where I was like, where am I facing? What is going on here? How do I hit this guy? This guy's moving too quickly. I'm just going to punch everything. Oh no, my melee doesn't actually do any damage at the moment.
Oh boy. All right. Well, we're going to move off of this because we spent way too much time in the games we played this week. Wow. But that's okay. Speaking of Resident Evil 3,
there's big reasons we're playing more games at the moment. So
this is true. You
know, expect longer sessions.
But we did play Resident Evil 3 the demo, and it came out. What was it? Thursday for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. I know I played the hell out of it. You played it. Anybody else played the demo?
See, I'm still yet to play Resident Evil 2, and I don't know why, but I never touched demos.
Where are we finding these people? Where are we finding these people who've never played the good games?
See, you forget I'm from a much younger generation. I never got the chance to experience the original Resident Evil games. When I was old enough to, well, quite old enough to play them, Resident Evil 5 was out, and it was not exactly the best example.
That is a great co-op game.
Great co-op game. Terrible game otherwise.
Not a Resident Evil game.
Okay, fine. So you guys don't get to talk about the magic that's Resident Evil 3. Okay,
I have played the original Resident Evil 2. It was a while ago, and I was too young to probably have.
You still haven't beat the second game, the remake.
I still haven't beat the remake. That's true. That is true.
That is your assignment by next week.
No, he already had his assignment. He's got to finish first.
I'll do it after. I will do it after.
I get paid in a few days. I'll let you know when I finish Resident Evil 2, and I'll let you know what I think about it. I'm actually interested in it. Best
time to get it is actually right now. It is on sale on the PlayStation store with their they got some sort of March sale on.
Oh yeah,
65% off on some games.
We'll take care of you. We'll leave that.
Yeah, the deluxe version cheap right now. You have no excuse not to buy it at this point.
All right. Well, we can talk about the demo. So the demo came out, and it gives you a pretty good look at the game itself. Looks like the game is completely finished. The graphics look amazing. The gameplay takes a little bit to get used to if you played the remake or Resident 2 remake, because they've added a couple things. They added the dodge system, the perfect dodge system from Resident Evil.
They've changed a lot of the control scheme in that. That was my first sort of big shock of that. Was like I'm sitting there hammering the circle button, which is usually run in Resident Evil 2, and it's like it's not doing anything. How do I run? And I eventually realized, you have to click in the R3 button. Great. I hate that shit.
Well, I played on the PC, so it didn't really bother me. I mean, there's not really a lot to really talk about the demo other than it was amazing. I think everybody that I talked to so far said the same thing. They cannot wait to play the full game. And again, it's pretty bite-sized. You can beat this demo in about 18 minutes. Longer if you're just looking around to see what you can see. You can speed run it. I've beaten it in 2 minutes now because it's so easy to speed run. And you get a chance to see Nemesis. You get a chance to run from Nemesis, and if you're smart, you can actually beat him. So it's actually I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far. And they also gave you the ability to use the assist mode. I put an article out about that earlier today, where if you die, you can choose assist mode and get access to an assault rifle.
Yep.
So
I found that one out by accident the other day.
this is great. It's like I cannot wait to play the full game. I am enjoying it so far. Capcom has done a great job with this demo.
Oh, indeed. Like the zombie AI in this one is actually a lot better than Resident Evil 2. Like they sort of seem to be a bit smarter for the average zombie. Like I've noticed that if you take a long time to aim for a headshot, they will move their head off to the side at the last second.
Yes,
to
they
dodge
do that a lot.
Shot. And I hate that's a pain in the ass. But
I love headshot shenanigans. The same thing happened in Uncharted 4. Like you line up a headshot, they'll always move the last second.
Yeah,
and they're still bullet sponges. If you keep hammering their chest, and their legs take more shots now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I shot one person,
found-
and it's like their leg was like hanging by a piece of thread, and they still would not fall. It's like, come on, man.
yeah, it's like that's bullshit. But it makes the game a lot harder overall. I enjoyed that. You can run through the game, like as Keith said, pretty quickly. As like your main mission is to pick up a hose and put out a fire in one of the little alleyways. But if you want to really extend it, you go through and find the little Mr. Charlie statues
I
that are all
didn't
the
do
way
that yet.
through.
I gotta do that.
All 20 of the. There's 20 of them. You don't have to get them all in one playthrough. You can do them over multiple playthroughs, and there are specific conditions. Like one of them requires you to do 25 perfect dodges, which with the new dodge mechanic can be a bit of a burden. Because
I did not know that.
If you dodge the wrong way, or if you dodge into say a bit of scenery by accident, you're going to become zombie chow.
Yeah, the perfect dodge, from what I was told by somebody, is it's tied to the animation of the zombies. So there are certain criteria you have to do it in order to get the dodge to be perfect, which I'm still trying to learn that.
It's literally the last 2 frames of animation before it cuts into the bite animation, and you have to press it, and you have to press it directionally either away or backwards from the zombie. You cannot go forwards.
Yep.
No, you can't even go forwards directionally. You have to literally go left, right, or backwards in order to get that perfect dodge.
I've got caught a couple times because of that. So still learning that mechanic.
And you have to be very aware of your environment, because if you dodge into, say, like you got a police car on your right or something, and you dodge right, and you hit that car, you're not getting the perfect dodge. You're getting dead.
Yeah, so a fighting game.
Yes,
it's the Dark Souls of Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Oh dear God.
Basically, the other things, there are little bits and pieces in this, like references and whatnot. I still can't believe here it is. You know, when was the last time we had an actual Mega Man game? Anyone?
Mega Man 11 last year.
Last year, okay.
I've never played.
Yet I have seen more graphical resources pushed into a joke about Mega Man.
That's not a joke.
In a friggin' toy shop where they got like the.
That's the Mega Man from Street Fighter X Tekken.
Yeah,
what?
It's the original Mega Man box art.
Yeah,
the big fat dude on the. He appears as the Mega Man of the Resident Evil universe. Has action figures, standees, posters, and everything else. I noticed references to a movie called Arthur, which is Ghouls and Goblins.
Oh, the posters! Did you see the posters?
The posters,
yeah.
The posters. Even the Resident Evil 3 posters promoting itself in its own game. Loved it.
There's a cheat engine out for the PC that lets you clip through the various environments in that game. I'm going to give it a try to see what else is in there.
Yeah, I like watching those boundary break shows on YouTube. I love seeing that type of stuff done. So it'd be interesting to see what's in the demo compared to the full version as well.
So safe to say that you're in love with the demo just as I am.
I am highly enjoying the demo, except to the point where, like, I played it last night once again, and I messed up a couple of times. I was literally on danger, so like one more shot and I'm dead, and that's when Nemesis decided to load in.
And did he hit you?
Yep.
And he killed you.
And then it goes back to the checkpoint where it loads him in, and I go back and I'm still on danger. So I had to try and finish the last bit of the demo without being hit even once by that big bastard. The worst thing is he does have that long tentacle reach.
Oh, it's more than just a tentacle reach.
And the ability to infect zombies, to make their heads puff up and become this like tentacle shooting motherfucker. And
hey, let's talk about his moveset and compare him to Tyrant. So Tyrant was a bothersome. He was just there. You know, you were pretty much terrible to let him catch you.
He was a brick wall. That's all. He was a walking
Nemesis,
brick wall.
like you said, he can affect other zombies. He hits hard, and he has this one move where he teleports directly in front of you. He's damn fast.
Super leap.
And it's like, you're behind me. Next thing you know, he's in front of me. And I'm like, wait a second. This is kind of a problem. You can move that fast?
It's not so much that he runs or teleports or anything. It's an actual leap. I actually saw a video where a guy was actually able to lock him behind a wall for a moment or two, and he kept trying to throw his tentacle over the fence to get him, and couldn't get it. And then all of a sudden he's like, "No, fuck this, jump!" And then you just see him jump straight up over the guy and land behind him. It's like, yeah, you're dead.
Yeah, he's going to be a handful when this game comes out.
I'm glad that the Capcom actually said he is not going to come into certain buildings and safe rooms, sort of like what Mr. X did in number 2. Because if they took that ability out, oh my god, you would not be able to play that game.
Yeah, the game would be unplayable. It
is hard enough to try and escape this guy. Like, you start running and he's like, "No, I'm going to lasso you in with my tentacle thing and drag you back." It's like, how do you get? You really need to. You're going to have to face off against him more times than not to get him to go into that stunned, kneel down state, like Mr. X did, or you're not going to get around most of these levels. Like, outdoor levels are going to become a nightmare for players because they're going to be wondering where he's coming from, and once he's there, he doesn't leave until you get to a safe area.
But it's fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it gets the heart pumping, the adrenaline going.
Looking forward to that. That comes out April 3rd, 2020, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. So,
yeah. I'll say this about the release date. Like, April 3rd, it's going to be a great week when it comes out. I'm just going to be so sad for the sales 7 days later when Final Fantasy 7 comes out, because people are going to switch straight over to that.
Well, you sure have beaten the game by then. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
All right, so
I'd like to take my time. But,
All right, so Rob, I'm going to need your help here because I'm terrible at keeping times. I know you were probably doing it and not telling me.
Yes.
All right, well, we're going to jump over to the next topic real quick. So we're in this pandemic. You know, we're talking about COVID-19. Yeah. And we are a gaming podcast, but occasionally we do like to talk about the geek culture as well, because that's what we do at the Outerhaven. And interesting enough, a trend has started happening where studios are bringing their movies directly home, which is ironic because this is something that the technology field, the people in the geek culture industry have been asking them to do for years. Send their stuff directly to digital so we could bypass movie theaters, because some people just don't like theaters for one reason or another. And they were always like, no, we'll lose money. We don't want to do that. It doesn't make any sense. And now they're doing it. Sonic is heading home on March 31st. Onward is already out on Amazon. Emma is out. The Invisible Man is out. Carl's just shaking his head. There's a couple other movies I believe coming out. So the question,
basically, you're going that. I'm going. Got it. Got it.
So the question is now, and I don't want to be on here too long. The question is, should other movies come directly home since we're in this situation?
Yes.
Like Fast and Furious 9 got delayed till next year, where they could be releasing it right now and make the money. Black Widow got delayed. Go ahead.
Black Widow is one I'd definitely say should be coming to Disney Plus. Sort of like they did. I think they upped the release date of Frozen 2.
Yeah, it's already out. Yep.
Because of the virus and everything else. Good on any studio who's willing to make that sacrifice right now to go, hey, we're going to put our movie out early and risk potential millions of dollars of losses because you're not going to get that cinema money, to put it out there on a streaming service or a platform where you can rent it. I think we looked up last night, The Invisible Man down here is going for $20 for a rental, which is fair enough.
And you can buy it.
Yeah, and then you can buy it. I think buying it was like $40 or something like that. So, it's good to see some companies are going, hey, we've got a finished product here, so why don't we just put it out there so at least people are seeing it? Because it's only a matter of time. In most, take a look at things like Florida, California. I know the few states here in Australia, I know Northern Territory, South Australia, and Tasmania are currently on full lockdown. It's like, you're going to have that point where cinemas aren't going to be a place you can go at all.
They're shut down here completely.
Yeah. Same here.
So rather than Hollywood risking, $1 billion losses, okay, so we'll make a fraction. We'll make a fraction of the money on whatever, but at least it's something. They're doing something to keep people entertained.
I would like to know the numbers once this is all over, because I got an idea. I got a feeling that they're going to break even or do better than they thought. Bloodshot just came out in theaters. When I mentioned when I went to go see Bloodshot, there were like 20 people in the theater.
Yeah. See, it's also going to depend on the film as well.
Yeah.
Like Onward, from what I've heard, hasn't really had great reviews.
Onward's amazing. Loved it.
Invisible Man's probably be one of those ones where it could make its money back just in that sort of digital realm. Sonic the Hedgehog is going to make that money.
Oh yeah,
they already made their money. Now they're just lining their beds with the extra money.
Oh man, Sonic's already had that money twice. It's definitely going to make the money.
Yeah, Keith has funded it. Keith has funded at least $1 million.
No comment. No comment. No comment. No comment. Best video game movie of all time, even better than Mortal Kombat. No comment.
Oh, you step in on very sensitive ground there. But I do feel like
I've just spent the last 2 nights watching bad video game movies with the household here. So
you were watching Street Fighter and Mario Brothers.
We haven't got that yet. We've done both Mortal Kombat.
See how he said bad movies. Bad movies.
Yeah, it's great because it's a bad movie. The first one, the second one is just garbage.
Oh yeah. So we've done both Mortal Kombats. We've done Tekken. We've done Dead or Alive last night. I think tonight we've got Tekken 2, Street Fighter, and a few others. Double Dragon from 1994.
Mate, if you've never seen the Street Fighter movie before, you will fall in love with.
Oh no,
Ron Julian.
Raul Julia's final film that he did for his kids. I love that man. He was a great actor, very Shakespearean theatre actor that transitioned very well in the movies. I love his version of M. Bison. I really do.
See, I really wish studios would do that more often. Like, imagine Patrick Stewart in a really bad video game movie. Like, the sheer authority of his acting put into something that's so dreadfully terrible that it can be nothing but awesome.
But like my best 2 cheesiest performances in fighting game movies has to be Raul Julia as number 1 as M. Bison, and Kerry Tagawa as Heihachi Mishima in Tekken. Because he looked like Heihachi with the spiky bit. Anyway.
See, mine's got to be the one, the guy who played Raiden in the Mortal Kombat movies. What was up with that accent?
Which one was it? Lambert or the guy in Annihilation?
The one Annihilation, the worst one.
Oh,
he's got like a really weird accent in the film, but I can't help but be enthralled when he's on screen because I'm just genuinely confused by what he's saying.
Oh, give me a second. Oh
man, I love bad video game movies. Like, I went into the Sonic movie hoping it was that kind of movie. I was pleasantly surprised when it was actually good.
So good.
But at first I was a bit depressed.
James Remar is who you're talking about.
I said James Remar.
He was,
he was dreadful in the best possible way.
Pretty much.
All right. We're gonna jump off that one. I was gonna talk about Doom Eternal, but you know what? I'm going to switch gears real quick, and I'm going to talk about something that's really pissing me off. So that is GameStop being GameStop. So last week we talked about GameStop saying that they were essential retailers and they need to stay open during this pandemic because people need to get their games. Well, if you haven't been following that story, the governor of California was like, you know what? Fuck you guys, and revoked their license. So guess what happened today? Pennsylvania did the same thing. It's like, oh, you think you're going to do that to us as well? Revoke your license.
There's actually more to that.
Yeah, there's more to that now. They actually now closed completely.
Yeah, they've now closed all source customers.
I feel like in the year of 2020, when we have access to things such as cloud gaming, streaming, and digital downloads, a physical brick and mortar gaming outlet to make the claim that we are essential shopping is the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard, and I watch the political channel.
I do want to preface any further discussion about this in that if anybody is going to point to Reggie, fix this, Reggie Fils-Aimé, please fix this issue, what are you thinking? He's not on the board of directors. He's not going to be on there until around mid-April, I think. So everybody adding him on Twitter, he's not going to do anything.
I think it might be time for him to say I'm done. I know what, this was a big mistake, guys. I don't know what happened. Sorry, bye.
In all fairness, I put we don't have GameStop in the UK. We have Game. I don't know if they're the same organization. I don't believe it.
They're equally as bad though.
Yeah, they're both dying companies at this point because there is no reason to go to them. Like a lot of these brick and mortar shops, they are severely more expensive than what you can get online or digitally. And if they want to survive in this market, they really need to be competitive about it, and they just refuse to be. They just continue to walk in, kick the door down, swing their dick around, and be like, yo, I'm the biggest one here. When the last time I've actually physically someone buy something from a game store was when I was walking in there, and this kid just handed in a copy of this was 4 years ago. I'm going to preface this. You just handed in a copy of a game you just bought. Was like, this game sucks, can I get another one? And that's the last time I've seen someone actually walk away from a game shop with something in hand. I don't see the point of them anymore if they refuse to evolve.
So I won't talk about that. Well, I'll just keep talking about what's going on with this part of the story. So they are staying open as far as curbside pickups. You can still buy stuff online. So if you buy something online, they will still ship it to the store, or you can still pick it up from the store, but I'm guessing they would come out and give it to you versus you going into the store.
I had a buddy who bought Animal Crossing from a GameStop, and they literally took a name at the door, didn't even let them in the store, took a name, had him go back to his car, and basically when they got the name out, it was like a card system, and they just went out to the cars and handed it to them through the window of the car, and then let them, be on their merry way. It was really interesting, but weird.
I picked this up at EB Games.
See, this is the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. Would this can't get the words out wrong. Would this have happened to them if they weren't so damn cocky and saying that they were essential? The reason why I say this, because I went to Best Buy today. Best Buy has not closed down, but Best Buy is they've been letting people in like 10 at a time. They're wiping down everything they touch. They to some extent they're following you now. So if you pick up something, they go behind you and wipe it off, which is crazy.
Like, in all fairness, if they kept their mouth shut, no one would have realised they were still open, because those shops are so dead at this point anyway, that there are one or two people who go in there to buy something, granted, but to physically claim that you are an essential outlet that needs to remain open, you brought attention to yourself, which you did not need.
Yeah. The crazier thing for me was the fact that they specifically sent out memos to managers and storefront people saying that if any kind of law enforcement or official came over to their building and told them they needed to close, they were mandated by their corporate structure to hand them a memo that says they are essential and need to remain open. Which is hilarious to me.
Hey, cop, you can't shut me down. We need to be here. The people need their games.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I can see it from the corporate side. Like, yes, it was arrogant for them to go out and say, "Hey, we're an essential business."
Oh, it's beyond arrogant.
No, you're not. That's just arrogance. That's just dumb fuckery at its perfection. But I can understand why they have that mentality, because look at what's happening right now. Everybody is being told, go isolate yourself in a house. Don't do anything for 2 weeks, or some the case could be anywhere up to 6 months. What some governments are saying. What are you going to do with your time?
Do you know what you do? This is what you do. Here we go. For all businesses that want no. Okay, go ahead. Before you give your answer. Okay, before you give your answer, because you're going to do it from our side of things, where we know what we're doing. We can sit there with Xbox Game Pass and we can play $1 billion games for $10 a month, whatever. But the thing is, most of your normies, your normal people, your general population. Normies. He said normies. What the hell is it?
They're gonna be looking for games. They're gonna be looking for something to play. They're gonna be looking for a new console all of a sudden. And where are they gonna go? Well, okay, they could go to like Best Buy or Walmart or something, but then you have GameStop, which is like this centralized location. That's what they know as the place to go and buy games. So places like that, and I'm talking like actual like business here. I went into my local EB Games, which is a GameStop subsidiary, And I said to them, how have your sales been? And they said, our sales have actually picked up to twice the amount of standard traffic that we usually have because of everybody suddenly going, hey, we need entertainment. Same with another place, like we have a place called JB Hi-Fi, which has a lot of entertainment. It has all your DVDs, your Blu-rays, and your games and everything all in one building. So like your Walmarts. That they have gotten so bad that Animal Crossing has been sold out. Like they're sitting there going, we need more shipments of Animal Crossing because the damn thing is sold out across all our stores because everybody's buying it because they have to stay in isolation right now. Most of their DVD and Blu-ray stock is starting to dwindle now because people are buying physical media to stay at home because they're getting told, hey, stay off the internet because we need that for people who are working from home.
And if you believe that, you're an idiot.
Well,
that's not how bandwidth works.
Again, I'm speaking from the purely I'm speaking from an Australian perspective, where our internet is probably about 1/10 of yours, Keith. So shut the fuck up, first and foremost.
No offense, I've heard Yancy talk about that.
Our internet is absolute trash. We're expecting a crash any day now on the internet, to be honest. They've asked Netflix and Hulu and everything else worldwide to reduce the quality of their streaming services to try and keep the internet open for those who are suddenly working from home. Now, all of a sudden, people are starting to realize physical media still has a place in existence. That's why the places like GameStop can have that little bit of arrogance saying we're an essential service. But you don't go around announcing, hey, we're an essential service.
I mean,
you're still a retail store at the end of the day that can close down and nobody give a shit.
I can buy that, but GameStop has done things that made sense in the past. A perfect example is sometimes with their midnight openings, they let a certain amount of people in the store at a time, and then they make you wait if there's like 5 or 6 people in. Go in and get your shit and get out. They could have easily did the same thing here. There would have been no issue.
Well,
wipe their shit down when you walked in and be done.
That's fine for a midnight launch, but general everyday traffic, you can't control general everyday traffic in a mall.
Best Buy is doing it. If Best Buy can do it, GameStop can do it.
Well, GameStop may not have to.
Well, now they can't.
I mean, with regards to GameStop, there are several ways they could have gone around this whole issue. Like, for example, physical media still does have a place in this world, but they could have easily converted their system to be purely online. You buy a game through GameStop, maybe they'll give you a £5 voucher if you buy a certain amount
and that's
of games,
what I was going to say.
And then they'll give you a code to then put into your preferred bit of media. Like, there are several ways around this that they're just not considering. They're only looking at the one aspect of it, which I will be honest, a lot of companies are making the same mistake. They're looking at this one specific way. It's like, okay, we're going to be closed forcefully eventually. We need to get as much money in now, and then once we close, we should be fine. But what they should be really looking at is, we don't know how long this will last. It could potentially last a couple of months. It could potentially last a couple of weeks. And if they don't consider the after effects of what they're looking at or what they're doing, they won't have any business to go back to when they're finished, because a lot of people spending their time inside are going to be like, you know what, this digital stuff is actually quite useful, it's quite convenient, and they're just going to more likely convert over to that. Whereas if they continue with this one single mentality of, we only do physical, this is the only way to go, this is the only thing we can do, they're just going to get left behind. Advancement is progress, and they're not making any. They haven't made any in years.
Well, here's the thing for me is, like, say they were to make a full conversion to digital, they start closing up their shops and just decide, oh, we'll jump into digital. Where are they going to fit in the market? That's the thing. Because it's like PlayStation and Xbox have their own inherent stores for you to buy digital games that you can use. Obviously, you can go to the used market. You can go to G2A. You know, if you want to buy a really cheap game for your PC. I'm just saying.
We don't talk about G2A.
Look, I'm just saying there are plenty of examples for you to go and buy a game digitally that isn't GameStop. That's probably cheaper than GameStop. That's probably more universal, so you could probably add the key to Steam if you wanted to. You know, there's plenty of options for you to choose. To me, it's like their main issue would be, how do they fit in a market if they are not taking up an inherent like portion of physical media where it's your preferred store to go? You know,
See, that just kind of proves our adolescence at this point. There are so many other methods that exist out there which are more convenient, more efficient, and make more sense. The idea that these physical brick and mortar stores still exist is just for the purpose that people still enjoy the idea of going into a shop, picking up a game, and leaving with it rather than buying it from Amazon and waiting a few days and stuff like that. But in situations like this very specific one, where they will not have a chance to be open very much longer, if they still are open at this point, and they are, in no less terms, absolutely screwed. Sometimes you just got to take the dive. Like, sometimes if you can't take up an essential part of the market, you have to at least come up with something which makes it more rewarding to use your service. Like, for example, Humble Bundle is a place where you can buy really cheap PC games and just support a charity at the same time. Even if they sold their games for a higher price, people would still buy from there because some people like the feeling of supporting charity. Same thing with G2A. The only reason why that cesspit still exists is because it's super cheap to buy stuff from there. And there are several other ways GameStop could make themselves more relevant in today's market. Same with all other brick and mortar stores, but they're just not applying themselves to it. They, like I said earlier, they have one mindset and they are sticking to it with everything they've got, and they refuse to evolve from it.
Yeah, it's dangerous, and I think we'll see it for them. Sure enough, if they're probably going to be having a very tough time, considering they've had such a tough time even before a worldwide crisis. I mean, we'll just have to see in the future what happens for them. If they can make a slow turn or a radical change to themselves and make themselves more applicable for a storefront, then they might be able to make a comeback.
I don't want anyone to lose their jobs. Like, I understand that working in retail is one of the worst jobs you could ever do in your life, and I do feel really bad for the people who are effectively being forced to take unpaid leave right now because the shop won't remain open due to the outbreak. But if you're working for a company that A, doesn't think ahead, or B, does not consider where you factor into things a few years down the line, then it's not a particularly good company. And I know that's easier said than done. There are so many companies out there that do not give a single damn crap about the individual who works there. But those companies do exist. It's definitely worth looking around, because GameStop remaining open and then declaring that they are an essential service, putting everyone who works there at risk, should really open your eyes a little bit that they really do not give a damn about you. They only care about their profits. And that's not exactly the environment you want to be stuck in.
Yeah.
Like, they're not essential, and your health is more important than the two people who come to buy your games every few hours.
Yeah, the fact that it took the government and everybody else pressuring them to close their stores because of this pandemic versus them actually giving a damn about the people that work there and the people who come to buy games in there, it's a damn shame. They should know better. The corporate people should know better. And after this is all over, I really hope people look at them in a different light, because that's unacceptable.
And I think it emphasizes the writing that's been on the wall the whole time, is that they've been struggling so much in the current market over these last 3 to 5 years that this is only going to make that worse. And
yeah, it's like, I would attribute what they're doing right now by keeping open to ensure that they get more business to something on the same line as war profiteering. They have a crisis and they are capitalizing on it with everything that they got while they can. And I know that's a bit of a dramatic comparison, but it's the most accurate in this case. There's something really bad going on right now throughout the world where everyone with a single brain cell is like, okay, people need to keep away from people, otherwise they'll get sick. And they're just like, nah, I'm going to keep open. I'm going to see how far this goes for as long as I can, because people are buying games right now and I need that money to buy another yacht.
I like to imagine it's out of desperation, but I understand where you're coming from for sure.
Anyway, like I said, I just wanted to talk about that for a brief moment because, guys, I understand GameStop is necessity. It's not really a necessity. It's just they're very convenient for certain things, like the Doom helmet I got, because they were only one of the places selling that the collector edition. And for some reason, GameStop still keeps getting exclusive rights to physical editions and collector editions that are nowhere else. So I don't know what the hell's going on, even though they're going down the drain. So.
Actually, now that you're saying that hammer came from GameStop, don't forget what happened to the Fallout 76 hammer, which had toxic mold in it.
Oh my god!
Make sure to check that. Make sure to check that.
Oof. Yeah.
So let's talk about other clusterfuck. So Bethesda's Doom Eternal, which is doing fantastic, they've made a colossal mistake where they released two versions of the game. Two versions of the game. One you have to get directly via Bethesda's launcher, and one you get on Steam. However, which one had the executable? The Bethesda version? Yeah, the Bethesda version had an executable in there that bypassed the novel, the DRM anti-tamper software that never really works because it gets hacked within a couple of days or a couple hours, depending on their mood they're in. So they were taking that executable and using it on the Steam version of the game, basically bypassing all DRM, which is a good idea because the novel has been proven to make games run like crap. It causes issues if you're trying to do testing. I know a guy who was doing testing for another gaming site who was running into a bunch of issues with trying to get the Doom Eternal benchmarks working because every time he changed CPU counts or changed a video card, the novel will lock him out. So bypassing it was actually pretty good. They actually caught on to this, and I believe they are patching it. But the question is, how did you mix that up? How did you forget that you had an executable that you were probably using for testing and forgot, oh, it's in this folder. We're just going to push this game out and not do any kind of testing whatsoever or QA. Because
QA doesn't exist anymore, Keith.
This is not the first company that's done that. Another company has done that as well.
That's the thing. But that's the thing. Straight up, QA does not exist anymore. They basically go hammer this stuff out, build it as good as possible, and when release date comes, it's okay, we'll push out whatever's sitting on our server. They don't have people who double check the game for quality. They don't have people who double check the game files to make sure that they haven't included some sort of execution file in there that's going to like easily be turned into a crack or something like that. They don't have a look at things like Novo that fucking destroys frame rates and gets all that stuff up. They just put it all into a folder and go publish.
Alternatively, if they do, they save it for the day one patch, which is somehow worse.
Yeah.
So,
I still don't get how day one patches are even a thing.
Just look at WWE 2K20. 8 patches in, they still can't get the damn thing to work.
Oh, boy.
In all fairness, anything that comes from 2K at this point is tainted. Like, they have not been the same for a long time now, but I'm of two minds when it comes to this kind of piracy. Like, DRM is a pain in the ass. It's bad. Like, there are some examples out there. I don't know if any of you ever played SimCity 2000, I think it was, where the game was physically unplayable because the DRM was broken. But on the other side, piracy is also a bad thing as well. Like, I don't agree with game piracy. I don't like how people spend 4 years plus of their life building this thing, and then you don't even have the decency to pay them for it. But there are ways companies can get around this. Like, if every game had a demo, it would be... Because a lot of the excuse that pirates use to pirate games is, oh, I need to try the game before buying it. I mean, we all know it's crap, but it's an excuse that they tend to hide behind. So if every game had a demo, you could get rid of that excuse straight away. People would have less reasons to... Well, they would have less reasons to pirate, but they'd have less reasons to feel proud of it. But... to forget to remove something like that from your game code before you publish it, I don't know what Bethesda's doing over there, but ever since Fallout 4, they have been doing nothing but sniffing their own farts and fucking everything up.
They've had a lot of problems. I will definitely say that. I will go back to what you said about piracy and DRM. See, the problem I have with DRM is when it's done properly, which it has not been in quite some time from various companies, it's justified. I get it. You want to stop people from pirating the games, and let's be honest, it's just not happening anymore. With a few exceptions, it happens no matter what you do. On the flip side, there's been a lot of issues where DRM has been introduced into a game and it's caused issues, frame rate issues, CPU rate issues where it would use more CPU than it's supposed to do. Or, like I mentioned before, if you swap hardware out or if you change things on your machine, game may not even work. It may lock you out for 24 hours saying, oh, hey, you made a change to your machine. Oh, hey, you installed it on another machine. Oh, hey, you're out of reactivations. Like,
yeah,
just
DRM
dumb.
is the reason why these days we are stuck with the ever annoying, always online type of titles. I don't know about a lot of you guys, but I tend to primarily game on a console, and I don't want to have that shit plugged in 24/7. I just want to be able to sit down, put something on, and have fun on it. But to have to, going back to Destiny a little bit, having to connect to a server, wait about 20 minutes for that server to connect, and I've got really good internet. Having to wait for that server to connect, relay the information, the glitches that come with being always online, the issues that also come from you being having to interact with the internet version of the game compared to the offline version, which it's lacking like special features and that sort of stuff. It's just an absolute nightmare. It's just a minefield of crap that you have to deal with these days, where the moment you buy a game, because that game's always online, the day that those servers go down, that game is no longer useful to you and it's become a perishable product. Whereas a game from 20 years ago, you could still pick it up, plug it in, and still play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of any plug and play stuff is kind of over, which stinks. But I mean, and this might segue us, but I'll try not to. This might segue us into our last talk, but like a lot of the new PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X stuff, they're trying to design it so that even if something has a day one patch or if it needs to install, they're trying to essentially design their SSDs so that they have a fast read-write capacity, so they don't necessarily have to wait for the long install or patch updates that people have been complaining about. I know it was a big issue with the PS4 that I've noticed personally, is that anytime you update something, and once you finish downloading something, regardless of how fast your internet is, you may have a download that comes by in like a minute, and it'll be like 20 gigabytes or something, and have insane quality internet, but you'll still have to wait 5 minutes because your PlayStation is read-writing for too long.
And this is the stuff that they're so happy about the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Oh, faster SSDs, and we can do all this, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. So,
yeah,
and off topic, but meanwhile in PC land, everybody's like, "Oh, you have to wait that long?" Okay.
That's if you have an SSD there, Keith.
No, some mechanical drives are actually damn fast as well. My SSD is all mechanical and it runs fine.
I'm starting to see how how a lot of people are starting to view consoles as obsolescent, because I'm going to say back in the day, but like I'm just talking about PS2 era and stuff like that, where consoles used to be really simple, like the one you're holding up right now. You just pick it up, you plug it in, you play the game, you're as happy as all hell. And then the PS4 and the Xbox One came around. The Xbox One shit the bed more in this regard, but when it comes to always having to be connected, like the PlayStation did not get off scot-free on this sort of stuff. This one was kept kind of quiet, but the moment I connected my PS4 to the internet for the first time, because I used to not have internet a while ago, I had to go around to my grandparents to plug it in and give it a go. The moment I took that console home after connected to the internet, I couldn't access my trophies anymore. I couldn't see that sort of stuff. And I know that sounds a bit small, but having something like that locked behind internet access only just seems really strange. And it wasn't like it needed to be locked, because I could still earn them. I could still pick them up in the game. I just couldn't see them. And that's another issue I'm thinking with regards to the new consoles, where they're still pushing this always online capability, and they're just making things endlessly more complicated, which makes me think, okay, if I want something that's more powerful, always has to be online, and it's more complicated to run in the long run, why don't I just get a PC? It's cheaper once you bought it, and you can have infinitely more use out of it than you would ever out of the Xbox Series X or the PS5.
Well, you know what? Since he's talking about that one, let's just segue into our next topic, because that is our topic. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Who cares?
Oh, man. I remember when... I feel like the lead up to these announcements has been one simple thing for me. Microsoft needs to shut the hell up for 5 minutes. Sony needs to start talking. And now that Sony started talking, I wish they never opened their mouths in the first place, because all the cockroaches have come out the goddamn woodwork to do all these comparison videos. Like, this does 13
You
teraflops.
knew this was going to happen. You knew this was going to happen. It happens every
What the
time.
fuck's the teraflop?
I was like, I'm so tired of the buzzwords. Like, last generation, it was DDR5 and DDR3 RAM. It's like, who gives a single unadulterated fuck? Where are my games? And that's the same problem I've seen so far, where it's like, okay, you're showing me all this power that your two consoles can do, yet the only thing I've seen for said console so far is Godfall.
What I will say on this is that I am very interested in some of the technology that is in the new consoles, and a lot of the stuff that they have shown and talked about is very cool, but the way that they have marketed it, and I won't specifically name names, Sony did a very good job, but like, there's just a lot of stuff in there that is very interesting. It should be very helpful for fans and players to know is that there is some really cool technology that's coming into these consoles that will make video games better in a lot of ways. But like the way they're trying to market this stuff is that they try to go with the whole like technical speak. Here's how many teraflops that don't actually matter are coming to this console or whatever. And to some people, it may does matter, and like they might see that and be like, okay, this is going to be more powerful. I prefer this, you know. But like to a lot of people, it's just going to be like, okay, so what does that net me in terms of I'm going to be playing GTA 6? You know, it's just like. If they both have the same SSD technology, it's going to load things around the same amount of time. Like,
see, I feel like we're still stuck in that really dumb way of thinking that we were stuck in back in 2014, whereas like graphics make the game. Because the way these two companies are talking about teraflops and GPU power processing and all that, it's all about how the game will look nicer, but it doesn't really go into depth of how the game is going to be better. Because if you buy a console because one console is more powerful than the other one, ignoring any other reason, you are a borderline idiot for not buying a PC, because that is the only answer in that situation. A PC is infinitely cheaper than a console and can be more powerful than if you know how to do it properly. But if Microsoft came out tomorrow and said, okay, we've got this game coming out, it's only available on Xbox, this looks brilliant, I'll be like, okay, I'd want to get an Xbox for that. I mean, the reason why the Xbox 360 was more popular than the PS3 is because it had the best exclusives. It had some of the best games on it.
True.
And that's the reason why the Xbox One fell so far behind in this generation. It's not because of it was partly because of the massive cock-up they did with the original announcement, but you've all seen it before. Gamers are fickle people. If you show us a shiny new game that looks really great, we'll buy it. It doesn't matter what you've previously done. I mean, there are companies out there that are absolute scum, yet people still buy their games because they want those games. And these two companies, I mean, Sony gets it more than Microsoft does so far, but all I've heard from Microsoft's side is we bought all these game development studios, and this was about 2 years ago they announced all this stuff, yet we've seen nothing from it. If you're saving your best stuff for the announcement of the Xbox Series X, you need to start bringing it out, because so far I don't care. I mean, I don't really care about the PS5 at the moment, to be honest, because they've shown me nothing I really want either. But the moment one company shows me something that I can only get on that console that looks genuinely interesting to me, I will buy that console because I want that. It's the same reason why Nintendo still exists to this day. I mean, Nintendo consoles haven't really been up to scratch. I mean, the Nintendo Switch is a better effort, but people only got the Switch because they had Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and now that they got the Switch, they will keep using it because they've already got it. You have to net them in to start off with before you start throwing all this technical bullshit at them.
Okay, so I was going to say a bunch of things. I wanted you guys to finish. So, all right. First, you all make valid points. There are two different camps in this situation here. One where Rob is and I am, where the technical aspects are very cool, and understanding what's driving these games, what's in these consoles, are going to make or break upcoming games as to what developers can do. And then you have Connor's side, which makes perfect sense. You're talking all the technical jargon, but at the end of the day, I want to know about the games. I want to see the games. I want to know what's going to make me buy the console. And for that point right there, neither company has done a good job. At least Microsoft has told you for the first 2 years, don't expect to see anything exclusive to this Xbox Series X, because they want you can play this game on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and also on PC. So
from a consumer standpoint, that is a really good thing. From a business standpoint, that makes no sense to me, because it just makes me want to buy the Series X even less. Because I can imagine the Series X being quite pricey, especially with what they've got going on in there. I'm imagining at least $450 plus in British pounds, or $500 plus for the States, for getting access to that console. If it's super cheap, like if it's within the realms of $350 or $400 even, I'll be like, okay, fair enough. That's actually relatively cheap for what it is. That's cheaper than a PC that can run the same thing. You've got my money. Because I don't have any predilection to either company. I don't believe in brand loyalty, because that brand sure as hell ain't loyal to you. Go with the one that makes sense to what you want at that time, and go with the one which is offering you the most. Right now, as much as I'm in the PS4 camp, Microsoft is offering more with the Game Pass and backwards compatibility. Granted, Sony has announced backwards compatibility, But right now, up to 100 of the most popular PS4 games, that's fucking pitiful.
Well, they updated it. They said from the start that's what they've already had working. There's more coming. There's a lot more coming.
They said almost all of them. Yeah.
They haven't mentioned if it's going to go even further, though. That's the difference. With Game Pass, you have access to not only Xbox One games, you have access to Xbox 360 games as well.
Right, but not a huge selection. They stopped.
Even if it's not a huge selection, it's still a selection. Whereas Sony have gone, we're focusing only on PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility only. And I'm like, well, what's the point of that? I have a PS4. I'm not going to make the mistake of trading it in to get a PS5.
Yeah,
I'm now keeping my consoles for the backwards compatibility, because how do you know that backwards compatibility is going to be actually decent to begin with?
Well, you should already know Sony's track record with backwards compatibility is not the best, so you should already know what to expect.
Exactly, but even with Microsoft, I have an Xbox 360. Why? Because I want to play Xbox 360 games. I have an Xbox. Why? Because I want to play Xbox games.
But
additionally, backwards compatibility is also a big part of buying a new console. The reason why so many people jumped ship from the 360 to the PS4 last generation was because Sony was offering the better product, and additionally, there was no reason to pick up the Xbox One. You could not play your 360 game, so there was nothing tying you to that console. If Sony fucks up this backwards compatibility, there is no reason for anyone to pick up the PS5 who already owns a PS4 and not pick up the Series X. I mean, price point may do something in that regard, but I can only imagine that the moment one company announces a price, another company is going to announce a lower price, and then the other company is going to match it or something along the lines of that, because this is a very competitive field. I mean, the only reason why the Xbox One started to take off about 2 years after it came was because they ditched the Kinect and they started bringing in backwards compatibility. It's like, okay, you got your favourite games, you can now start playing them. Granted, it was crap to start out with, but now it's something actually useful. But if Sony is negating backwards compatibility this much, like, granted, it's nice that you can play the PS4 games, but there has to be something more there. There are so many great games on the PS3 that you still can't play on the PS4. There are so many classic games on the PS2. I mean, Resident Evil's making a comeback. If you could play the original Resident Evil games on the PS5, I bet you people would eat that shit up.
Well, that's why, one, you've got the older games brought back out. They've been re-releasing those older games. The problem is, again, there are just so many different variables. Like, you could say, hey, backwards compatibility is a big deal. Well, you have other people like, you know what, I could care less about older games. And there are people out there who don't care about the classic games, the games that are nostalgia, the games that were on the PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360. They could care less. So as a company, you have to weigh the line. Does it make sense for us to do this, or do we forge ahead? Which is why what I said, how Microsoft is doing this. All of our games are going to play on all of our consoles and platforms. You said it didn't make a good business decision. It didn't make a good business sense. But for them, if I can make a sale and you buy my stuff on either platform, that's great. And it's a 50-50, because Sony's not doing it because they're hedging their bets where you're going to buy our new system for our new games. If you don't want to buy our new games, then you stick with the old stuff. It's pretty much what Don Matrick said with the Xbox One. You don't want to play Xbox One games, buy an Xbox 360. And that's the perfect way to apply that, even though it's not the good way to say it.
That was definitely a hard way to say it, but he's correct.
Yeah, look, he's correct in that, but at the same time, now's the point where you're going to... These consoles are coming out, end of the year?
Yep.
We're already a third of the way through the year, and yes, the world is ending and everything else, so we might not see the end of the year. But you want to be... This is the point where you want to start ramping up what you're going to get exclusively on each console. Sony are lagging behind so badly that it is going to affect their sales at the end of the day, because all they're going is, they're just copying Microsoft's model, because both of them look pretty close to the same. I think technically the Xbox wins out on, I think the read-write speed was one of their biggest thing, was almost double that of the PS5. You know, great for the technical marks.
Wait, what?
But
No, it was back.
I think the PlayStation 5 is the one that writes faster.
Yeah.
Not that it matters for your argument, but
in all fairness, like, I get where he's coming from here because it's a lot like the last generation where the only difference between the PS4 and the Xbox One was PS4 was DDR5 and Xbox One was DDR3, and people were latching on to that like really hard. And at the end of the day, it meant absolutely nothing. Like, granted, the PS4 had a little bit more processing power, but to the average person, you are not going to notice. I haven't bought a Xbox. I can't keep up with the bloody names. The Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro because I don't feel the need for it. I mean, the only game which I felt needed that bit of extra power was Control on the PS4. I don't know if any of you ever saw any gameplay for that.
Yeah,
Control on the PS4.
I've got Control on the PS4.
Yeah.
It is
ran like hot garbage. Like, it was the only time I thought I needed it. Yeah, like
version, it is so much better.
It completely marred my entire interpretation of that game because when I saw it in the run for Game of the Year 2019, I thought, "What is this bullshit? This game doesn't even work." But then I saw like other versions, like, okay, I've had a better experience this time, and I thought, you know what? That's the only time I've ever felt the need to upgrade my console. So both these companies talking about, oh, this does more power, this does more power.
Yeah.
It won't matter in the grand scheme of things until the console starts to die out.
You've dropped your technical cock out on the table. Now show us what you're actually going to do with it.
And that's the problem. We're not going to see that for a while.
And I think that's also the big loss with the loss of E3 this year is that I think a lot of I think Microsoft were really going to rely on E3 to bring out here's what you're going to get when the Xbox Series X comes out. And I think that's when most of their big announcements were going to be made. Now they're having to reschedule everything and work their way around it. And possibly, they might even have to delay the console because of what's going on in the world. But at the end of the day, like, we need something more than just a tech spec sheet to make us go, oh, wow. So Sony need to actually reveal the goddamn console itself.
Yeah, it's like what you said earlier.
Show us what it looks like, and go, okay, here are 20 games that we're going to push out on exclusively, or here's what you're getting as your launch lineup. Give us something that's going to make us excited, rather than all the little technical nerds who are sitting there in their basements or their little makeshift offices going, I like numbers.
I do like numbers. I do love numbers.
It's like what you said earlier. We are we were like a quarter of the way through the year so far. These consoles are slated. Well, we know the Xbox One's coming out Thanksgiving this year.
Well, no, they changed it back again.
But we're anticipating it to come around about November time, which they always have come out on, unless they get delayed for some reason. That is about 7 months away, which sounds like a long time, but when you think about it, it's not. And we still haven't got a single reason to buy either console yet. Like, you can point out the technical aspects to me all day long. You can show me that this console does this. Yeah. But I haven't seen anything yet that makes me think, ooh, I need this. Ooh, I really want this. Because, like I said earlier, the Xbox 360 was infinitely more popular than the PS3. And that was infinitely more underpowered than the PS3. Yet that still managed to succeed because it had the best games on it. And at the end of the day, it is a games console. That is the primary reason you buy one. I guess you remember the Xbox One announcement where I think they used the word game once and then they used the words TV and film about 500 times.
Which is why I'm glad that management is freaking gone.
Yeah, like, I'm glad that management's been turned over because I was really rooting for Xbox in the start of it all because I had the 360, I didn't care much about the PS3. But I made the jump to PS4 because I saw no reason to get the Xbox One. And right now, I'm not making the jump to either because they haven't given me a compelling reason to do so.
Well, right now, exact same thing. Yeah.
Right now, here's the thing: unless you have money burning a hole in your pocket, it's just way too early to say I'm buying which console. I've said that because A, I like numbers in my makeshift office, but I do, and two, I want to review both the consoles. No guarantee I'm going to buy them because if Xbox One X or Xbox Series X doesn't really wow me as much as I wanted later on with the games, I have no reason. I have a pretty powerful kick-ass PC. There's no reason for me to own that console unless there are exclusive games to that console. As far as the PlayStation 5 is concerned, again, I agree. They have to show me a game or games that's worth investing in that console. And
the console itself.
And the console itself, we have not seen. Microsoft has done a great job with that. They have shown us that from every considerable angle. They showed us the UI. They showed games running on it. It's like, all right, we've seen it. Thanks.
And it's not like the PlayStation has not already had like
next to a fridge.
Yeah. Well, it's not like the PlayStation doesn't have a finalized design either. They're, you just know they're purposefully not showing it yet.
Oh,
like, yeah. And it's just like, that's kind of like the main thing with me is that, like, even if you were talking to an enthusiast who loves the numbers, is in whatever basement they decide to put themselves in, they're going to look at this information that's coming out about both consoles, be interested in it, but it's not going to force them to buy it even as an enthusiast because of the games. That's the thing. Because it's just like, even if we learn about if the PlayStation has a 100 times faster loading speed compared to the PS4,
it could bend time or whatever,
it's double the speed of the Xbox One. It doesn't matter, because it's like, even if we're coming to an age where the games will adapt to the consoles, regardless of which one is better or not, and will be designed better, and the games will be better, because of the new console, because of the new technology. But even then, like. It's and the teraflops, but even then,
I can sit here and explain teraflops if you want me to.
Well,
it's long and boring.
It's a unit of measurement for how the computer creates a simulation. Anyway, but I just, for me, it's like, yes, it's the games, and not only that, but it's like the ecosystem. What it's going to be like to use the online features of that console. What features in general, because like learning about the tech is one thing. But what you're able to do on the console is another thing that we still really know nothing about, other than playing the games. Like, I get it, if you don't want to plug in your DVR to your Xbox One, I get it. That's a preference. But it's like, we need to learn about how you're going to use your friends list or whatever, how the trophies are going to work, how are you going to be able to interact with people on this console too. Well, even if you ignore the games entirely.
We need to know how the devs are going to use it too. Because that's the thing with most consoles, is you can have all this flashy hardware and everything else, but until the developers actually know how to properly use a console, which isn't until about halfway through its lifespan, there's nothing that's really going to make us go, wow.
Well, yeah,
unless you get Jima, who magically sees into the future.
Yeah, we've already got like a real life example of a console being more powerful, but no one knew how the architecture works, so it completely screwed over the PS3. Like, for the first 3 years, no third-party developer understood how it worked. So there were no decent games coming out for the PS3. And right now, like, I don't see how the architecture of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Oh, side note, Microsoft, if you change that name, I will buy your console straight up. Give me something that's easier to pronounce, because I have trouble speaking English to start off with, but I will tongue twist myself to death every time I have to bloody pronounce the thing.
I love the fact that it's Xbox One X and Xbox Series X. And you know damn well there's going to be somebody buying it for the kid, and it's going to be, I want the Xbox One X. Here you go. And they're like, wow, it's cheaper than I thought. And they get it home, and the kids go,
Additionally, that name already shows the hand. Yeah, the name already shows the hand where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to release another one about 2 years from now, which, as a practice, that needs to stop right now. Like, the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro are the most pointless pieces of technology I've ever come across in my entire existence of this earth. They did not need to exist. If you wanted more powerful versions of your console, release a new generation, and I feel like they're going to continue this trend with this time round. Maybe the Xbox needs it more than the PlayStation, but I don't see why it needs to linger now that both companies are, as far as I can see, on the straight and narrow with how things are working. They're both relatively matched, but there's going to be like a underpowered version of the Xbox Series X, which they're only showing the most powerful version to get people talking, be like, "Ooh, Microsoft's looking good at this time round," but then they're going to show their base model and be like, "Oh yeah, this is actually the cheaper version that most people are going to buy, because not many people are going to drop this much money on this type of technology."
Well, that's it. It's
we had that argument too, yeah.
It's like we had the Xbox One X, we had the Xbox One, and the One X, and the One S. I've got the S because it was cheaper.
Yeah, like I was genuinely thinking of picking up another Xbox One, because I sold mine originally because I played Halo 5.
Just don't get the discless version.
The Xbox said.
The thing is, I opened up my I went into Argos to buy the console, and I was like, oh, like the Xbox One X is like super cheap, and then when I looked into it again, I was like, oh no, that's the S, and I genuinely didn't know that was a thing until that point, and I googled it, I was like, oh, it's slightly more powerful than the Xbox One, but the Xbox Series X is more God, the names. The Xbox One X is more impressive. And I was like, oh, gee, can I get my spreadsheet out?
See, and that's the other thing too, is a lot of these consoles are now relying on people that have 4K televisions.
Yeah, well, that's the kick. That's the kick now.
And for someone like me who really only updates their TV once every probably about 10 or so years, I'm not going to be anywhere near using anything that's 4K compatible for at least another couple of years. I don't get that extra graphics power out of these other consoles. I don't see a point in the next generation being 4K compatible, and I really just don't have the television for it.
Yeah, I mean, they should really be focusing more on frames per second than the actual graphical outputs of games at this point, because the PS4 and the Xbox One, we still have games that are locked to 30 frames per second, and a lot of people will just say, like, I don't care about frames per second, and all I have to say to those people is once you get a 60 frames per second game, you will notice it. I mean, I was in that group as well. I used to think to myself, like, 30 frames per second, that's fine. Picked up a PC. I played Halo Reach on PC. I was like, okay, you know what? I was full of shit. And the same thing here. We've mentioned earlier that neither console's really given us a reason to buy it yet. And it's not too early to give us a reason, because people will have to not only save for the console, but also save for a 4K TV if they want to get the full functionality of it. That's easily upwards of £800 or $900 or whatever, which is a lot to save for if you're on a 9-to-5 job, minimum wage working position, and additionally with Corona, additionally with the virus and people being laid off without pay for the foreseeable future. It's more important now more than ever to give us a reason to save for that specific console before it's too late and it's like 2 months away. It's like, okay, this is what you can do with it. It's like, but I've already spent my money on, other stuff.
I think this generation we will see that, because we've seen them talking more about frame rate and resolution. Yeah, so we'll see a focus on that with people not having access to 4K TVs. But unfortunately, that's just the way that technology is moving.
I mean, the same thing happened with Blu-ray and all that. You needed Ultra HD TVs. I mean, granted, I have bought a 4K TV in anticipation for the new consoles. I bought it last year because I knew the next consoles are going to be 4K. But a lot of your average consumers don't have that kind of foresight.
And you know what? I wouldn't buy a console 4K because, as we see, there are a handful of games that run well on the Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro at 4K. The rest of them, they are terrible. They chug. I would not want that experience whatsoever. They're not good.
Yeah.
These consoles right now cannot give us 60 frames per second at 4K. So, no.
Even then, like, even if you're an enthusiast like all of us, like, I've personally had no reason to buy a 4K TV. I have a PS4 Pro too, only because I wanted to buy one for a specific game, and I got it just because I wanted to, and I had the money to spend for it. Like, I still don't really feel like I have any reason to get a 4K TV, even as an enthusiast, somebody who's willing to spend the money for it, because I don't see the advantage to it. Like, I mean, I bought my PS4 Pro, and I've played games like the game that I bought it for, Kingdom Hearts 3. I have just a 1080p TV. There's not much optimization there. It still runs at around 30 frames per second, even with, like, boosted graphics and stuff. You can have it put on a stable mode, but that's still 30 frames per second, 60 if you're in a small hallway that's not trying to render too much. Like, it's really just, like, there's not that big of a difference. And obviously, the new consoles will be much more powerful, and it'll be able to handle that at, like, a 30 frames per second. But they should stick to that. If it doesn't, then what's the point?
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing, though. It's like, I'd rather buy a 4K monitor over a 4K TV. Why? Because most graphic cards these days are pushing 4K resolution natively out of the graphics card, and you're going to get more because you have that unlocked frames on most PC games, or at least a minimum of a 60 benchmark. It's more worthwhile to do it with a PC than it is for a console. As Keith would attest to.
I would. The only thing I was going to add to that is 4K monitor still locked at 60 frames per second. So, meh. I wouldn't even buy a 4K monitor. I said it before, and I'll say it again. 1440p is the sweet spot, or VRR, variable refresh rate, is where it's at. 144 frames per second Xbox One X, if you've seen that, oh baby, it looks good. But nobody else is doing it yet. I think PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will support that. So we should see more people taking advantage of that, meaning hopefully people will start buying computer monitors instead of actual TVs to get their gaming done.
See, one thing I still don't understand to this day is why don't console games have graphic settings in the game itself? Because there are a lot of situations where you're playing a game and you're stuck with how that game runs by default. Like, I can imagine, I'm going to go back to Control here because that game actually scarred me. If you had the option to change how it ran on the fly, I probably would have had a lot better experience of it. Like, give players the choice, like, do you want better frames or do you want better graphics?
So the reason for that, and I actually asked the developer this a while ago, the reason for that is this. We make a game with a set amount of assets in the game. If we were going to make a game where we were going to give an option to decrease the actual gameplay itself, like you see in like Neo or other games where they give you an action mode, a cinema mode, and a resolution mode, we have to do double the work. And not all the developers want to do that. At the same time, if we do that, if we give you, say, for example, a graphics mode versus a frame rate mode where we want you to see the game looking as great as it does versus we want you to have access to the fastest gameplay possible, we're just doing double work for no reason because most people are going to choose the fastest game possible. But if we do that and then we have people come out later on and say, why does this game look like ass? Why couldn't you do this? So not all developers want to waste their time and do that. That's why the games that you do see have that, or the exception.
In all fairness, that is fair. I just kind of assumed it was a lot like PC versions where they always have them like built in, but in all fairness, that is a fair explanation.
Well, with the PC, it's brute force. A lot of times it's brute force. We have the accessibility to the power, and the power also plays a big part. Where the Xbox One X and PlayStation 4 Pro, you see a lot more games give you the ability to toggle settings. You don't see that on the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4.
And I think a lot of that is just like there's such a vast difference in the types of PCs that you can have too, especially with graphics cards, CPUs. There are certain things that may have like a graphics card that only has 6 VRAM, and then somebody has like one that has 12 VRAM. You know, I mean, there are these minutia, like little nuances that developers on PC have to watch out for anyway, because they have to optimize it for as much of the technology that's currently out there. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of older graphics cards that are being ignored because they don't have support for them anymore. But still, like, not everybody's going to have a RTX 2070. Not everybody's going to have a 2080. Most people may opt for this AMD one, and they'll have to support that one. And then it kind of turns into like, okay, so which ones do we have to support? If the PCs are all going to have different, system setups and structures, then they have to like account for that too. So I feel like for consoles, since everything is just mostly the same, then why would they feel the need to put in different graphics options if they know they're what the hardware that they are working for is? Then they could just stick to one target and then everybody will enjoy it. They try to appeal to everybody. You know what I mean? It's just like it makes sense for only PC to have that just because of the vast difference between system structure.
That's fair.
Anyway, yeah, so I guess the actual topic of who cares is a valid point because at the end of the day, we want to see games. Xbox is doing a better job of showing us what it can do, though Minecraft is not the best example. PlayStation needs to step it up big time. We need to see more. We need to see games right. You need to keep talking about how we got Spider-Man running on the PlayStation 5. Hey, show us that, please.
Yeah, they got to be more consumer focused. Like, I know the stuff that we saw recently with the reveal was a GDC talk, but it's like, still, they advertised it like it's something like a fan would want to see. Like somebody who's not necessarily like an enthusiast who's going to sit there and look at the tech specs all day. It's just weird. And that never made sense to me.
And even then, that gets boring. You can only look at the tech specs so much.
That's true.
Great.
It's true.
This is great.
That's why everybody was posting photos about how, I'm falling asleep during this PS5 reveal. And it's like game journalists. Like, it's not like just fans who are enjoying the presentation. They're literally just falling asleep.
Well, they did. Like, my eyes did get open when they did talk about Dead Space for a second. I was like, Dead Space. Then it was gone. Yeah. It was like, oh.
One thing I do definitely find quite funny about the way that they're announcing the power of these new consoles is I'm not going to name any names, but the amount of people who clearly don't know jack shit about technology coming out of the woodworks to write articles about this sort of stuff. And it's like, mate, like if you don't know the topic...
many journalists complaining about that on Twitter. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't know the topic, don't pretend to know it. Just be honest with your audience. Like, your audience will be more appreciative of you if you're honest with them. Like, okay, I don't particularly know what this means, but it sounds interesting to me. Or do some research. I mean... I could go onto my PC right now. I don't know what teraflop is, but I could literally just type into Google, what's teraflop, and I'll find out what it is, and I'll at least be a little more knowledgeable on the subject. But there are people out there saying like, oh, the read-write speed of the PS5 is quicker than that of the Xbox One, but it could cause system bottlenecking when you do this to the teraflops. Like, you are throwing as many buzzwords into
And you know what's hilarious
possible.
about that? Here's the thing that drives me crazy. And I had a conversation about this. So, yes, the PlayStation 5 is double the reads of the Xbox Series X. Congratulations, that's great. Here's the thing. In the grand scheme of things, are you really going to notice that when you're holding up a game? What's the difference between 2 seconds and 3 seconds?
Especially if you're a third-party developer. Like, think about it, because you're going to have to develop it for the Xbox One as well. If, for whatever reason, the PlayStation is twice as fast, if you do a direct comparison.
Yeah, I mean,
how are they going to optimize that game for that?
This
if they're going to be creating
technology
it for both, you know? It's just
this
like,
technology is really only going to affect first-party titles. Third-party developers will do as they've always done and just make the games to their best of their ability within the confines that they've got.
yeah.
Which is why a lot of these consoles, even though they are competing with each other, tend to be quite uniform in how they function. If they try to deviate from uniformity and try and function differently, aka the PS3, then they have problems. So they have an interest in keeping it similar. So at the end of the day, you may have two vastly different consoles, each with different power outputs, but they're still gonna do the same shit at the end of the day. There are, like, I would have kept my Xbox One if they still had the snap feature, because that was such a useful feature for me personally to have. Like, I'd play something like Minecraft, I'd have a YouTube video on the corner just going away in the background, just loving life. The moment they removed it, I saw no reason to keep my Xbox One, because I did most of my stuff on the PS4. I didn't feel like I needed it anymore. And I feel the same way with the PS5 and the Xbox One. Your technical aspects are amazing and it's impressive, but you know, it's just not going to go any further than that, really, if you don't have anything to the table to be interesting to me. Like, bring in some sort of more innovative features you can do in the background. Like, you can run a game and have a video playing at the same time. You can have this doing that or this doing that. Like, I don't have any examples coming to mind, but something that's different to what the competition is doing, but it's also quite useful to have in everyday life. I mean, even if it's something small, it's something.
I will say the Xbox Series X or Xbox SX. I'm going to say XSX. I do like the ability that it does save game state. I do like that. So I can quickly switch back and forth between games. But there's nothing saying that the PlayStation 5 can't also do that, because we don't know. Sony isn't saying shit about their console. So
if you want one thing that's going to make me go out and buy either of these consoles straight away,
Price.
like day one, besides price,
games.
What is it? The HCDP, the
2.2. Yeah, the next.
Take that protection bullshit.
That ain't
out of
happening.
it,
That ain't happening.
and allow us to directly capture the games into the system and have it easily exportable to the PC.
That ain't
So
happening.
we don't need external fucking video capture cards or any of that type of shit anymore.
To top it off, I do feel like Sony does have one ace up their sleeve that they failed to announce yet, and a lot of people are probably going to scoff when I say this, but PS4 is still the only console to have VR. If PS5 leans more into that, you could get a bit of a bigger audience that way, because the PSVR is a great piece of technology for what it is, and they keep talking about the PSVR 2, yet I keep my ear to the ground on this sort of stuff. I ain't seen shit so far. All I've heard is like
I reckon they are saving that for the PS5.
They're saving that shit for way after the PlayStation 5. We ain't seeing anything
But
anytime soon.
the big thing for me is, like, especially because of who we are and what we do, I need to be able to capture video footage. At least have it straight out the box, like the Xbox One did, have the ability to turn off that the HCDP or whatever it is, that copy protection thing straight out the gate. Don't patch it in later like fucking Sony did with the PS4 and never did with the PS3. Because I want to be able to get decent footage without having to buy $4,000 worth of extras in friggin' video capture devices and pass-throughs and all that fun stuff, And up your streaming software inside the console too. Like, let us be able to upload into the console just images or PNGs of layouts or something that work natively with the defaults.
Maybe we might see that. You gotta remember, streaming wasn't that big when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. It was starting to rise up, and it wasn't, everybody and their mom wants to stream. We may see that now, but then again, we may not, because there are services out right now that allow you to do that, at least for the Xbox One. Like, Lightstream lets you do it, so there's no reason.
Xbox's Mixer program, that's gotten quite big lately. I remember when I first got the Xbox One, I was streaming some Rainbow Six Siege on Mixer, and I was having a fun time. Never really got any views, but it was something fun to do in the background. And even the PS4 did allow you to stream directly to YouTube, but the process to do it was a pain in the ass. It was fiddly, and additionally, both consoles let you capture images and gameplay clips. Granted, the Xbox One's social platform is a lot better than that of the PS4. I didn't even know there was a little social feed letting you know what your friends were doing until 5 years after I owned the damn thing. But I find that moving that footage from that console to an external platform is such a pain in the ass, because you've got to get a USB stick, you've got to format that stick to be able to work on your PS4 or your Xbox. You then got to transfer the files, and then you got to take it to your PC, plug it in, reformat it for your PC, which could potentially delete the files you got on there anyway. And it's like, why is there so many steps involved into moving a picture from one thing to another?
That's exactly what I mean by they need to make this stuff a bit more streamlined, especially for people like us who rely on this to create video content. Like I got so sick of even going on with the PlayStation 4. You have to go into the system menu to go and turn off the protection so you can enable it to even work through your video capture card, which you then have to make sure you're running it either through the OBS or XSplit or Stream Elements or whatever, and just piss farting around, which is such a pain in the ass that I just got sick of it.
Here's your problem, though. Here's the thing, and I was thinking about this, and
even then, just to sort of finalize it, a lot of my footage that I captured, I remember doing footage for Dragon Ball Xenoverse, where even with the protection disabled so I could do video capture, it would still come up with an annoying little pop-up saying that, this content has been blocked on behalf of the publisher or something like that. When, that's what's the point of removing that if you're still going to try and block the content?
Well, that's the problem with the built-in streaming services and the gameplay on there. You can't do anything about it. But at the same time, you want the ability to copy or save images and footage to your console so you can transfer it to your PC. And the problem is there is no easy way that I can think of, because if you think about the very casual user, that's the easiest way. Make them take a USB stick or flash drive and move it from one machine to another. Even if the way I have it set up, if I wanted to do it that way, I could tap into my console via network. That's now you're looking into doing home networking, which not everybody knows how to do, to tie directly into your machine. It's easier just to take a disk, say, all right, more from A to B.
That is correct, but there are already working examples of this technology being used in practice. Like, for example, Halo Reach had the file share system. You could save screenshots and gameplay videos to it. You could then log onto your account on the PC and then download it from there.
True.
Additionally, Microsoft already has a tool in place that is connected to all their platforms and could use it, OneDrive. If you've got OneDrive on your PC, why not have it on the Xbox One? And then you can transfer files directly into it. You go onto your PC, there it is. Sony might have a bit of a tougher time because they don't have any pre-existing software that can do it, but there's nothing stopping them from automatically uploading the content to the cloud.
There's a problem with that, though.
They could always strike a deal with Google and use Google Drive or something like that.
Well, there's a problem with that, though. Think about this. So if you capture high definition footage, right now when you copy something from Xbox to wherever, it downgrades to quality. There's compression. If you upload high non-compressed footage, that shit is huge. The larger your footprint is, the longer it takes for you to upload over the internet. OneDrive is great, but you're looking at bandwidth.
That's one caveat you have to have in order to use the product. So be it. I'd rather have something where I can capture a compressed footage file that I can then use to edit into a video, because like let's be honest, unless you're really running something like YouTube at 4K, you're not really going to be bothering with the video files.
I mean, and to top it off, like, I mean, as long as they give us the option, that would be nice.
Yeah. Like having more integration like that with, say, OneDrive on the Xbox, I would love to see a return of small little things that have driven me nuts over the last couple of years. Is like I'm a big wrestling game fan. Everybody knows my insanity for wrestling. A lot of the early like SmackDown versus Raw games allowed you to import MP3 files of theme songs for different wrestlers created or updated for the roster, and just quite easily flick that into your entrances. I want to see that type of stuff return, and being able to have having something like that through like a OneDrive would be a great idea, because
you'll never see
external storage.
That's a legal issue.
I know it's a legal issue, and that's pretty much why Sony stopped allowing it with the PS4, which fuck them. But it's like I miss being able to even have a small part of the storage on a console to run my own MP4 files.
All right, I think we're gonna end this because we've been going for quite a while.
Oh, so, we could sit here for another 2 hours doing this.
Yeah, we could, and we've already been going 2 hours.
2 hours.
Let's go ahead and stop it there. So, yeah, I think we'll just stop from there, guys. So, thanks for stopping by for this episode of Spectator Mode Podcast. We didn't mean to go over this 2 hours, but when you start talking about topics that we're very passionate about, that's what happens. Yeah. It happens.
I swear every Spectator Mode I'm in, it just lasts way too long. I'm sorry. I think I just have a natural way of derailing the conversation.
All right, guys. So, guys, once again, you can find us on Spotify, audioboom.com, Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, and also here on good old YouTube. So, from Keith, Carl, Rob, and Connor, thank you for watching, and hopefully we will see you guys next week. Unless society breaks down and all those fun things start to happen.
Hopefully not. That'd be nice. If it did,
If society does break down, I'm eating you first.
Oh, dear God. All right, folks. Later. And we done it. I'm looking